Oh, thank you. Oh, okay, the meeting's being recorded. Okay. All right. So thanks for having us, guys. We're from Visense. So without further ado, let me just introduce our team here first. Okay. So my name is Vivian. That's me on the far left over there. And I'm part of the HR team here. I also have with me Vanessa, our HR manager. Vanessa, you want to come and say hi?
Hi. Yeah, I'll be speaking later as well.
Yeah, and we have Jiang Chun also.
I will appear later.
Yeah, she will appear later. So a little bit of a cliffhanger right there. She's our senior data scientist over here, and she'll be sharing more on the data science side. We also have a few of our data science colleagues seated with us here too. So anyway, let me just go. Oh, okay, yeah. So just give us a moment now. So at the end of the session, actually, there will be a Q&A session. If you guys have any questions, or if you guys just wanna like raise any questions, feel free to type in your questions. I believe there is a Pigeonhole link for you guys to do that. And if you notice at the bottom right side of the screen, actually, there is a QR code for you guys to scan. Feel free to scan it, all right? You will see a form over there, which will lead you to join our Visense Tech community, and you will be able to receive latest updates on our job roles and etc. Right. So anyway, without further ado, let's just dive right in. So as you guys might already know, we are an AI company and we specialize in the field of computer vision, where we provide visual search solutions to our clients all over the world. And most of them are actually in the e-commerce retail markets. And on a daily basis, we process more than 100 million images. Okay, very impressive. Where our solutions are used by large internet companies like Rakuten, ASOS, and Uniqlo. Okay. So apart from gaining recognition from big brands, actually, we have also gained much validation from other tech experts in the field. Just wanted to mention some of our accolades here as well. So in 2019, if you notice on the left side of the screen, we actually emerged first place at the ITCV Research Conference. If you guys are not aware about what is ICCV, it's actually one of the foremost AI conferences in computer vision. And yeah, so on the right side of the screen as well, our solution for our client ASOS also ranked alongside Google Lens in 2019 as the top visual search engine. And so that's pretty impressive lah. Okay, very proud of that. And we were also recognized as the best tech company to work for by SES in 2019, and also mentioned as one of the top 100 tech retail companies by CB Insights late last year. Okay, so with all that, just want to mention that it's really possible because we have purposed ourselves to make the product world searchable and discoverable using smart AI, computer vision. And you might be familiar with this term called the big, hairy, audacious goal from other tech startups out there. Essentially, what this means is that this is our big dream, right? We want to be an incredibly smart retail intelligence network to connect everyone in the shopping process and to remove any hassle from retail decisions itself. And how do we do that, you may ask? Of course, it's through the solutions that we offer. Right. So this slide actually breaks down our market segments. What you'll see is that most of our solutions are e-commerce solutions, like I mentioned earlier. Basically, this is online shopping, which we are all very familiar with. This is where our solution provides better online shopping experiences through improved product discovery. Okay. We also provide retail operation solutions, streamlining back-end operations for retailers, and also in-store solutions. If you look at the top right of the screen, providing digital experiences in physical stores itself. And last but not least, we have visual commerce also, which refers to our Visenze shopping network, which I will go a little bit more in a while, where we essentially make everything that we see online shoppable content. Okay. So sometime in 2018, after 6 years in the business, we launched the Visenze shopping network, where we dreamt of enabling visual commerce, making everything online that you see shoppable. Okay, and not just that, but really have it at your fingertips. So kind of like Google Lens, okay? So you can think Google Lens and Google Shopping Network combined. We partnered with major mobile OEMs, mobile manufacturers all over the world to build a shopping platform readily available for everyone who owns a smartphone. So if today you own a smartphone from any of these brands that you see on the screen, right, feel free to check it out. We are actually the first and only visual search engine to be natively integrated in in 5 of the largest major smartphone OEMs globally. Okay, so anyway, that's a brief overview of what we do as a business. So let me just pass my time on to Vanessa. She'll be sharing with you guys a little bit more about the heroes behind the technology, our Visenze team in general, after which Jiangchun will be coming on to share more specifically on the data science aspect in Visenze. Right, so passing my time on to Vanessa.
All right, thanks, Vivian. So let me just do a simple breakdown of the people in Visenze itself. So currently now we have approximately 80 plus Visenses worldwide. So we call all our employees Visenses. We have around 80 plus of them worldwide. And actually to date, there's around 153 interns. Of course, not all of them are still here. Even Joel himself was an intern with us before. So that's a pretty impressive number, like 153. So out of this 81 Visenses now, 69 of them are actually in Singapore, based in Singapore. So we are headquartered here, and there's a pretty large team over here lah. So in terms of the diversity, you can actually see that we have quite a bit of different backgrounds, different nationalities. We also do have a pretty healthy male to female ratio, and as well as businesses that are based in many other locations as well. So whether it's in China or whether it's in the States or whether it's in Dublin or Japan. So those are some of those places that we have our other businesses based in as well. We are also, I would say, pretty talented in that sense that, we have like 9 of our employees who have obtained their PhDs. We have 27 of them that have their masters as well. That being said, I would say the talents that we have over here are very willing to pass on their knowledge to next generations, to slowly coach them into becoming important as well. So if you look at a simple breakdown of the team over here, we have a large number of our Visenses that are in our R&D and engineering team, because after all, we are a R&D and engineering focused company. So we have around 40 of them, and then there's also 10 of them that are in product management and design, and the rest of them are in the business teams. So how do the Visenses go together as one, right? So these are the 5 core values that we have over here. We are customer obsessed. So by being customer obsessed, it means that we always think of the customers as the first, or we always put them forward, and we always make them, the most important, I would say, drive for us to move forward. So being in a tech company, we are also agile, we are also inquisitive. We are always looking for, possibilities to change, to innovate. And we are agile in the sense that, you have to constantly adapt. We have to constantly move faster in order to be ahead of everyone. Our Visenses are also accountable. And by accountable, I mean that we hold responsibilities for our own work. We are proud of what we do, and we deliver this, deliver our goals, and we take ownership in the things that we do as well. So all in all, our last value, we are one. That's basically how we do proceed together as one team in order to reach our goal. So, I mean, Vivian has also shared what our big, hairy, audacious goal is. So we have to proceed together as one team in order to reach that particular goal.
So hello, everyone. My name is Jiangchun. I'm senior data scientist here. So I will introduce what it's like to be a data scientist in Visenze. So this is the breakdown of my content. First, I will introduce what it's be like a data scientist in Visenze, and another one is I will describe how machine learning like in the real world and some important challenges. And also at the end, I will recommend some study materials for all of you, so you can know how to improve to get you ready for the real world machine learning projects. Okay, so I believe that everyone knows that there is a lot of kind of data scientists in the field. I think this position have the very big variety and people doing different jobs, but they are all called data scientists. But in Visenze, data scientist is more focused on model training. So, and the model is more focused on deep learning models. And currently we are more focused on computer vision, but it doesn't mean that we won't like step into NLP or other stuff. But basically currently what we more focus is that we try to train deep learning models to capture the domain knowledge and then turn the model to the real world use case. So that's what we currently focus on. To become a data scientist in Visenze, actually we consider a very comprehensive skill set. So what you learn in school is more like how you train your data. Your data are all prepared. You don't need to do anything. You just need to get the data, train your model, and submit your model, and then you get your project done. But actually in the real world, especially in Visenze, we focus on these four aspects of skill sets. First, we think analytics is a very general skill. It's a very, very good soft skill that might not very easy to like codify, or maybe very hard to exam, but it's a very, very important skills that we think that you will use your analytics skills in terms of project scoping, product analysis, and other kind of stuff to help you do the job better. And as I say that in the real world, we will focus a lot on like how you're going to prepare your data, collect your data, and all this data related job, we call it data operations. You need to have this skill to handle the data by yourself. No one will prepare data for you in the real world. So in Visenze, we focus more on the unstructured data. That means that we don't have the tabular data. We don't do feature engineering, but we will collect the data and store it unstructuredly. And of course, we focus on model development, and we focus more on deep learning models. Currently, CNN, convolutional neural networks, is for computer vision problems, and we also trying to step into transformers for NLP problems. And maybe in the future, we will handle more types of models. Last but not least, we also believe that the general development skill, especially for the students, that if you have software engineering experience, is very good, because we think that anyway, development is a very, very important skill that is not everyone have, but if you have, that will make you very different, because you can develop your own tool to help you do your job better. So, and you can develop your own codes to make sure that you can automate a lot of stuff, so you can focus on the more innovative and more important area. So yeah, that's the four important aspects. And another thing I want to point out that I think a lot of people like what you teach in school, that most of you will focus on model. You think model is the most fancy stuff. But actually, I think to be a very good data scientist, first you need to love data, or you have to, or try to love data. Otherwise, why you call yourself data scientist, not model scientist or something? So that makes sense, right? So I think it is important in the real world, but I think in school, maybe your teacher don't have the motivation to teach you about this, because you don't need to prepare data anyway. So I think just consider that garbage in, garbage out, that your model is totally learned from your data. If your data is not good, you cannot expect that you will build a very good model. So, and also there was no free lunch. I already mentioned that even though we are currently focusing on deep learning models, we don't need to do any feature engineering, because we expecting the deep learning model can do the feature extraction efficiently and automatically. But the assumption is that all the important information is already in the data itself. So, which means that you cannot escape. So even though you don't need to do feature engineering, you need to engineer your data so your model can learn. So that's what I want to point out. Okay, so next topic is that I want to describe how machine learning looks like in the real world. It might be very different from what you know in your school projects. So first, let's look at this graph. I think most of you, what you learn is the model training part. You can see that it is actually a very, very small portion in the whole life cycle of the machine learning project. So to develop a machine learning model successfully in real world, we actually need to go through the full step of this graph. So first we need to define the problem. We need to understand the problem, what is need to solve. It's not like you have the question that's told by your teacher that he or she asks you to solve some, build some model to solve something and the data is ready. Is that from the beginning, we need to participate in the discussion about the project. So we need to understand what is the problem and what we need to solve. And then after that, we will prepare something called taxonomy and guideline. So I won't go too detail about this, but basically this defines your problem. For example, if you want to build a model to recognize different dog breeds, you need to define how many dog breeds are there in the world you need to handle. So that's the problem definition. And what kind of dog pictures you need to handle, that is also another type of definition. So what I want to say is that from the first place, you need to think how you're going to make a problem solvable. Because in the real world, your clients will only raise their original requirement that I want to solve something, but you are the person that you need to make the problem a machine learning problem. So you can solve this problem using machine learning techniques. Okay. And another stuff is that I want to point out this quote is that all models are wrong, but some are useful. So in the real world, we need to understand that there will be some limitation about your machine learning solution. It doesn't matter. In the real world, we don't need perfect stuff, but we want useful stuff. Okay, just as what I point out, model training is only a small part, and it is not a dark magic. It's not as fancy as you think. Yeah, I think that's what I want to point out. And as a professional data scientist, you need to focus on the whole picture instead of only the small parts, because you can see the other step influence your whole performance. So we can think that in real world, we can actually improve our solution through other steps, like how to define your problem more carefully and how to get your data, how to get a very good data so your model can learn very well, and how you're going to understand the limitation of your model so you know how to improve it further. Okay. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So so as we can see from this whole picture, we know that the whole workflow contains several steps. So it's very important that in a real world scenario, we need to construct a very standard workflow that we know what we are going to do. Like, because as a professional data scientist, we actually don't work like waiting for inspiration, then you suddenly understand what you are going to do next. So we usually will try to learn from our experience and a lot of projects, and we are going to construct this standard flow. So every time we face a new project, at least we know that we can do something to get something delivered. That's very important in the real world, that you always get something to deliver. And you don't, we don't want any, we don't dare for any perfect solution, and there is no perfect solution, but we can always follow some standard workflow, get something deliverable, and try to improve it like iteratively, as I mentioned later. So through this whole process, it's very important that we identify the core process as what I list down here. There are 7 steps. Of course, in the real world, there might be also other steps between, but these are the core process. And we also think that for each of the process, because there are so many processes, it might like make you like busy with some very manual stuff. So we think it's very important in the real world that we embrace automation as much as possible. So you can focus on what you like the most, like model training or model diagnosing, but you can do a lot of automation in data sourcing and data cleaning. So you can save you a lot of time to focus on something that you think important and also the things you enjoy the most. Okay, as I mentioned previously, we don't want like perfect solution, and we know that there is no perfect solution. So iteration is the key. So in the real world, as I always ask during the interview, I will ask the candidates that how they know that how to improve their model in their projects. And I think most of them don't know how to answer this question, and maybe they don't know like it is very important in the real scenario. So because in the real world, we will first build an MVP model as quick as possible. The MVP model means that minimum viable products, which means that we will quickly build a baseline model as soon as possible to identify some issues, and we just keep iterate based on that model. And to iterate, it is very important that we always can identify the current issues, and we know how to improve the model further. So in the real world scenario, we usually find that the model performance is positively related to the total number of iterations. So which means the key is to standardize the process, and we understand how to diagnose the model so we can do iterations as many as possible. Then we expect that our model can improve more through this process. Okay, I think I already finished this part. Is more about the machine learning and real world looks like. I hope that can give you some like idea about what we are actually doing in our real work. Okay, and next part I will brief something about that. Some important challenges we face in the real use case, but you might not notice when you are in school. So first thing is the ML fairness, and also how we're going to construct an unbiased algorithm. So this image here is from the Inclusive Images Challenges from Google Research. This challenge is very interesting because recently, if you read the readings or blog posts or the papers recently in deep learning field, you will know that people starting to focusing on ML fairness and also how to build an unbiased algorithm through inclusive data. So which means that at that point of time, the researchers in Google find that there is a very large data set called open images. But when they check the distribution of this data across the world, they will find that actually most of the images come from the developed country. So and you can see that China, there's nothing. And like Africa, there's nothing. So they think that this data bias will make the model very biased towards that West countries and America, Europe, and other developed country. So it will cause a lot of problem. So I don't know whether most of you hear about that. A long time ago, a gender model from, I think it's one model from Google. They classify Black person as Godzilla or something. Mm-hmm. So that caused a lot of issue because they find out that there's a lot of bias in their training data. They don't include all races, maybe all people from different countries, and also maybe there's some bias in terms of gender. So that's very important also in our real world use cases, because we don't want our model that biased towards certain races, or like it have some like hidden. Okay, okay. 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 So that's very important because we don't want our clients suddenly point out that, okay, I think your algorithm is racist. That causes a lot of issue. So we need to consider these questions from the beginning of any solution development. So like we need to think that how we're going to collect inclusive data. So we don't teach our model about that biases through our data. And we also need to proactively identify data and algorithm bias, because even though we think about something at the beginning, we might not think all different types of bias in the open world, because we just don't know everything from the beginning. So we need to proactively take this responsibility. Another important challenge is that, as Vivian mentioned, that we have some specialized in certain domains. And at the beginning, I think vsan is more focused on the fashion domain. So this kind of domain poses a lot of challenges when we develop the real world solutions, because the fashion domain contains a lot of domain knowledge that the ordinary person cannot easily capture that domain knowledge. So it makes the model development very, very tough, because as a developer of the model, you need to learn the domain knowledge. So you will be able to diagnose your model when there are some issues. So what I want to point out is that intrinsically, so what we develop our model is we try to encode our human knowledge into the deep learning algorithm, and we want the algorithm to help us to do some work that initially require human knowledge. So, but human knowledge is usually very implicit and very sophisticated, even though in Visenze, we have domain knowledge, domain experts that they can express. They have the domain knowledge and they will teach us the domain knowledge. So we can build some deep learning solutions that can do tasks that originally only can handle by domain experts. But even domain experts themselves don't really completely understand what they know about certain tasks, because it's implicit. Sometimes if you ask the domain experts to do some data annotation, they actually make the decision subconsciously. So they don't know why they do the decision. So under that circumstances, it's very hard for them to teach other people to do the task if they don't structuralize their knowledge. So it's very challenging. In Visenze, what we do is that we try to ask domain experts to, maybe I can share. Okay, let's see this. So in Visenze, what we do is that we ask the domain experts to structuralize their domain knowledge. So we will have an annotation guideline. So for example, if your domain experts teach you what are different neckline in the world, so she will write down the annotation guideline to tell you that what are the necklines in the world and how to differentiate different type of necklines. So you will learn. So consider yourself as a layman here. You will learn from this guideline, so you can do the task also. Then you can train your model. But it's very challenging in these parts, because even domain experts themselves sometimes cannot completely understand why they know how to do the task. So just consider that if I ask you to design annotation guideline to distinguish between Shiba and Akita, how are you going to describe it? So I think if I ask you to do data annotation, you might able to identify them. But if you are going to structuralize your knowledge about these two breeds, it becomes very challenging. Okay, another example is that it's even more difficult when different people have different opinion about something, we think there are some common sense. So especially for faction, so you can see there are 3 categories here. One is tank top, one is top, and one is camisole. So why this is tank top, why this is camisole? So different people might have different idea. Maybe I think this is camisole, and these 2 are both tank top. But our domain experts say that no, this is not tank top, it's top. And this is not camisole, it's tank top. So like we always have this challenging that, especially when we trying to build some customized model for our clients actually have some opinions about the task. And maybe our domain expert have different ideas. So when we do the data annotation and build the model, we follow domain experts. And finally, we found that our clients don't like, they don't think our model doing the correct prediction because they have different opinion with our domain expert. That caused a lot of trouble to build any customized solution. So yeah, genre is very challenging. We also try to to see how we make it more efficiently. That for example, at the beginning, we need to talk with our clients to understand their opinions clearly and ask them to annotate some data so we can guess what they think about certain stuff. This is what we're trying to do. But actually in the real world, maybe there's not so many these kind of domain specific tasks. It's easier to reach a consensus like for more general domain because we can rely on some common sense. For example, gender, like what is male, what is female. But even for this general concept, sometimes it's difficult. Like how you define what is kid, like how you differentiate what is baby, what is kid, what is teenager. You may base on some age, but if you look at the image, it's very hard to tell. But that is what you need to handle in the real world scenario. Okay, so as I described above, that human knowledge is very hard to structuralize and it's very hard to understand completely people's opinion about certain tasks. So it turns out that combining all those challenges, it makes data quality a very challenging problem because we want to annotate the data correctly so we can construct a very good model based on the high quality label. But because it's very hard for the domain expert to structuralize their knowledge, so other layman annotators can do the annotation and prepare a training set easily. So it makes that the common issue is that the layman annotators, they can't fully understand the annotation task. So they didn't do the annotation well. Then we receive a very bad training data and our model doesn't perform well because the data is very bad. Because usually we don't actually rely our domain expert to annotate the training data for us because there's just too much job. We need to have a certain amount of data for training to make the model work. But that causes a lot of challenge that how domain expert can teach the layman annotators to correctly annotate a huge amount of data. Okay, also the data quality issue is already mentioned in the very beginning for the very famous data set ImageNet. So they actually have a paper describing how they collect, annotate the ImageNet data set. It's a very good paper. I suggest if you have interest about how they construct these huge data sets, you need to read this paper because it's very detailed and they list down all the challenges they face during the data collection and data annotation, and finally how they managed to like construct these famous data set that help a lot of deep learning techniques development. So they found that I quote one paragraph that they actually try to annotate the data like through crowdsourcing. So they try to hire some people from, I remember it's from Amazon, the crowdsourcing platform. They try to collect the annotation from people all around the world. So it's more scalable. But they find that it's very hard to ensure the data quality if they want to do a large scale annotation. They mentioned 2 points here. First, human users make mistake and actually not users following the instructions, even though they might provide a very comprehensive guideline. As I mentioned previously, domain experts, they will prepare a guideline, but people might not follow. And maybe even though they follow, they still make mistakes. And second is that actually, as pointed out in this paper, for each of the image, they try to hire 7 or 5, like multiple annotators to annotate one images, so they can get they are thinking that they can get more accurate label through voting. So, but they found that it's also very, very difficult because users don't really agree with each other. So when it becomes very confusing. So especially when the task becomes very sophisticated, it's very hard to make sure they can get the correct label through voting. So for example, if you have 5 annotators, you hope that, okay, if 3 annotators think that it is this label, we will get this label. And we think this is like make your label more accurate. But if there are 2 annotators think is class A, 2 of them think is class B, and 1 of them think is class C, it's very hard to decide which label you should get. So that causes a lot of challenges. So what people think, like after more than 10 years, people think that this process is very inefficient, and people are trying to think about more efficient ways to do this to ensure data quality. For example, also in our real world use case, we also do something like this. We try to don't do the annotation from 0. We try to utilize some pre-trained models to perform a very basic classification. For example, if you want to build a classifier for dog breeds, you can try to quickly grasp some data and train a very simple model for the like maybe hundreds of dog breeds, and you can use this weak model to predict on your larger pool of unlabeled data. Then you can get the initial label. Then you ask your annotator to only check whether the label is correct or not. That will make your life much easier. Yeah, also there's a very hot topic about active learning recently. You can check it if you are interested. Okay, I think I am close to finish. Okay, just 3 more slides. Oh, another stuff is very interesting is the model diagnosing. As I mentioned, that iteration is the key, but how you're going to iterate is that you need to always find out what is the problem of your model, so you can have the direction to improve your model further. So I found out here that is what we usually do in the real use case. For example, this is the gender model. How are we going to debug this model? Because we found that this model, it classified this as kid, but obviously it's female. So we want to know why our model making the wrong prediction. We try to visualize the GraphCam visualization to debug the model. So we found that if the model is predicted on the original image, it actually focuses on the logo here. So it predicts it as kid. You actually don't look at the face, but we think that to predict gender, you need to look at face, not the background. How we debug it, we just block out the logo here, and the model focus on the human face, and it make the correct prediction. And also there's another interesting example is that how you're going to differentiate turtle and tortoise. So as a human being, we will look at the object itself, right? We try to compare what is the differences between these two species so we can differentiate them. But actually your model might focusing on the background because turtle is in sea, tortoise is on land. Then actually your model doesn't learn anything. If there's no background, it totally fails. So that's why you actually, it's very important to understand what your model is doing in the real world so you can know what is the limitation and what is the issue of your model, then you know how to fix it. Because your model actually don't know what it is doing. What is the meaning of turtle or tortoise? It doesn't know. So you need to understand your model in order to debug it. Another interesting stuff is you need to, I think it's similar with the model diagnose. Besides that, you need to understand what's the limitation of your model. You need to keep monitor your model. So you know that because our model is developed in a closed world setting, you understand that what it is learned from, but when it is deployed, it is facing the issues in the open world. So you can see that this is a very nice image captioning model, maybe trained with like a lot of parameters and trained by a very big company. But when it deploy and when it is applied on these images, it will be totally wrong because the sheep are on the tree and you never see this scenario. So you think that it is the birds on the tree is not a sheep. So yeah, what I point out is that you need to know what your model is facing in the real world and you keep identifying the issue in the real world because the real world change, your model doesn't change. If your model doesn't change, it will die somehow. It just cannot like handle the real world use case anymore. So I think it's easier for us to consider this problem if we consider the model itself as a new type of software. So you need to keep releasing a new version so you can keep fixing bugs and also face the new use cases. Okay, finally go to the last section. So I want to recommend you several study materials. First, I think this online course is, I think I recommend to all the interns when they work in our company, because I think this course, I think is the only one course that it describes how machine learning project look like in the real world. And it is very detailed and I think the content is very, very good. Also another two book, this one is actually from this course, is by Andrew. I think this book also it like detailedly tell you like what it means in the real world scenario and what is important and what you need to prepare for the real world projects. I think, and the book is very short, so don't be scared, it's very useful. Another one is a very new book. I think it didn't officially publish, but I already read through the preview version. It is a very, very good book describing how you like have human in the loop in the machine learning development. So, and the authors think that only in this way can we like develop a very good model when we combine the power of human and machine learning models. Okay, I think I finished my part.
Okay.
We'll leave the QA at the end.
Yay, great. Thanks, Jiang Chun. All right, so I'm just gonna go straight into the next section. Okay, a bit conscious of time, but I think we might overrun a little bit. Okay, so if you guys have questions that you want to ask, feel free to stay on and we will address the questions afterwards. Okay, so next portion will be why Visenze. A little bit of selling over here. Okay, I believe a lot of you guys are looking for internships as well. Otherwise, you know, when you graduate, I'm sure you guys would want to look for opportunities, possibly in Visenze also. But what I really want to highlight is how it's like to work in Visenze. Okay, I believe some of you guys would have looked at our Glassdoor reviews when I speak to a lot of students, they always say, oh, we saw you guys on Glassdoor. And yes, very proud to say that actually our past interns give very good feedback about our internship. I mean, you can see, you know, great company to intern at, very structured internship. And I think like what I really want to highlight over here is that doing an internship with Visenze is not just a good learning opportunity, but it's also a place for you to kind of explore like your interests, because to us, you know, we do take like our candidates' interests to be quite important lah. Okay, and at the same time, another thing that I feel really stands out in doing an internship in Visenze is how we always structure it in such a way that every intern needs to have at least one mentor. Okay, so this is probably something that you'll hear from our past interns. So if any intern is not assigned with any mentor, we are not allowed to get them on board lah. Okay, that is we are really quite strict on that. And yeah, another thing is that we work very hard and we play very hard as well. Of course, all this would be pre-COVID periods. We do have a pool table in the office. We also have a football table in the office. We have a lot of like company-wide activities and engagement events like dragon boating, treetop walk. We used to do paintball as well. We had a movie night, and if you see actually over here, very interesting, that's like our summer foosball frenzy when we did back in 2019, where we could all be in the office. Unfortunately, now we moved very much online actually. So over the COVID period, we also did quite a number of virtual events. So be it virtual tea breaks, this was a regular like tea break session, game sessions as well. So you can see Joel over here looking very happy, thumbs up. This was actually our anniversary celebration. So we had like a team bonding, virtual team bonding lah. Okay, yeah. Right. And eventually when we could kind of start coming back to the office, even though we cannot all gather together, we also have like celebrations. So we catered for bento breakfast and also lunch and goodie bags also. And in our smaller teams, we also could meet up, and I mean under 8 people at the moment lah. Okay, so I guess I can go on and on and on to talk about how good it is to work in Visenze, but I mean it's better for somebody who has actually worked here. Joel, okay, you wanna share a little bit of your experience? Feel free to unmute yourself.
All right, thanks, Vivian. So yeah, I'm just gonna do a very quick sharing about my experiences with Visenze. So overall, it's a very positive one. So I've actually had 3 internships in the past, and definitely to me, Visenze is the best one so far. So I just want to highlight a few reasons why I think so. So first is that I think Visenze gave me the opportunity to work on very meaningful projects as well as discussions. So meaning that, like, you know, sometimes when a company has interns, maybe the work they give is perhaps more, let's just say, not so impactful lah. It's still important, but maybe not so impactful, right? Like, and then maybe the interns don't feel so important, things like that. Whereas in this company, definitely, the work I did, I think it was definitely to meet like production level requirements and things like that. So it's still like useful. And moving on, like, although most of my internship was e-based, so I actually did my internship last semester. So unfortunately, I couldn't get to office too many times, but even then, people were very friendly and were like readily available to help whenever needed. So I just want to share, right? Like, there was this one day, like I just happened to send a message like maybe like 2 a.m. My intention was for like someone to reply maybe the next morning, but then like at 2 a.m. itself, the person actually like replied for, what my query was. So it's like, it really shows that like people are really readily available to help whenever. Not that I'm asking you to reply to message people at 2 a.m. That's bad, but yeah, just to share. Then another thing is that there's like good thorough documentation, which makes like the onboarding process for new intakes much smoother. So a lot of things, if you want to know like how to do something or whatever, a lot of it is already being documented. So as long as you know where to find these documentations, you can already like sort of like self read or stuff to understand how it works. So you don't need to keep asking too many questions. And I think that's really helpful. And I guess Visenze, because it's a startup, it definitely has the startup culture. But at the same time, right, it's not like too small of a startup where like one person needs to do like every damn thing. So and it also shows like Visenze knows have a good understanding of what like the term data science entails. So these 2 points sort of like tie together. so as an example, right, there are some startups or some companies where they hire a data scientist, right? But that data scientist is the only one in the company. So that person actually needs to do like every bloody damn thing. Like they need to do the whole data infrastructure, all like the ML infrastructure, the data engineering, all the DevOps, everything, the data analysis, business insights, everything that person does. So that's like really, really tough. Whereas like, I think in Visenze, there's a lot of very specialized teams to support what we do. So I think it really allows for optimal data science work. So I think that's one thing that's very, very useful while still maintaining sort of like the startup culture. So it's not like too big of a company, which some people don't like as well. Yeah. So I think those are my like experiences with Visenze. And yeah, okay, I think we can move to Q&A here.
Thank you. Just want to highlight that we did not pay Joel to say those things. Okay?
Yeah.
But thank you. Very, very happy that you had a great internship experience with us. Okay. Yeah. So we're gonna be moving on to Q&A over here. Let me just go on to the Pigeonhole page. Wow. Okay. Quite a few questions from you guys. Maybe we can. Josh, should we just go straight ahead with the questions?
Maybe we can see from the votes.
Oh, the votes, is it? Yeah, let's just go according to the votes. You wanna come in? Okay. So how do you advise we stand out in terms of our portfolio? Should we want to apply to Visenze as a data science intern? I think I can address this because I usually am like the one who screens the resumes. So I think what really would stand out is if you have had past internship experiences, but that is not the most important thing. I understand that sometimes it might not be possible for you to always find an internship that is like 100% your thing. But it would really be good if in your resume you have certain passion projects that you have done before, and something that really shows that you are passionate about your craft and you're serious about wanting to develop yourself in the area. Ultimately, coming into Visenze, we don't expect people to like know everything already. I mean, ultimately internships are for you to learn also. So I would say if you have had past experiences, not just in the professional aspect, but let's say like your own side projects or passion projects. Yeah. Okay. So next question. What are the questions asked during a data scientist internship interview? I'm gonna address this, Tanshan.
I think because it's internship, we actually ask more about your past experience and also some related projects, because we of course we want somebody like understand how to train a deep learning model. So that's the baseline, that we will ask everything that related to that basic skills we want, and we will ask the details about your projects. We want to understand how you do your project, like from the beginning to the end. Yeah, but not much about technical question, because I don't think it's not very good to ask during interview.
Yeah, that's right. And also because actually prior to the interview stage, there will already be a technical quiz stage, and that would probably serve as a filter in terms of your technical skills. Yeah. Okay. So does Visenze work with natural language processing?
Yes, currently yes.
Yeah. You want to elaborate more?
No, it's just yes, because it's a very general topic.
Okay.
Because deep learning is there's a lot of general stuff shared by different deep learning techniques. So we just adopt this if we think it will help to improve our business.
Okay, great. So what is an ideal candidate in terms of one's skills, experience, and portfolio if they intend to apply to Visenze for 2022 summer? Okay, that caught me off guard for a bit. Unfortunately, we don't have visibility for next summer's project. But I mean, if you're talking about next summer, the most general answer that I can give you is you can start to build your own portfolio. Maybe if you have any side projects that you want to explore. We have spoken to candidates who like, in my own free time, I decided that I want to build this model, because like I found it really cool and interesting. Yeah, that's probably something that you can try out.
Yeah, I can add more comments. So don't worry that if you don't have like any experience or any related projects, any related school projects or course for what we want, you can just go on the online courses, because that's also what I usually ask. If I found that there is no related experience from the candidates, I will ask whether you go on some online courses or what you learn from the courses or what are the cross projects. So you can always go for it.
Okay. Quite a few questions actually. I think we can still continue.
Yeah, continue.
If I'm a computer science graduate specializing in AI, what PhD do you recommend taking for data science full-time position? CS stats or it?
You mean PhD? I don't think I'm very capable to answer this question, because I myself is a master. So
yeah, maybe this is probably a good question for you to check with your professors. Actually, I would think that given that your professors would know you better as well, with your background and all, probably he or she can give you a better take on that. Okay. Joel, Axel, we're just gonna go and continue and just address the questions. Okay, I understand that it's 3 p.m. If anybody needs to drop off the call, please feel free to. But if you guys want to stay on to hear us address the questions, you can feel free to stay on as well. Okay. So as the field of computer vision is getting mature, do you recommend an undergraduate to take a computer vision related postgrad studies in the future?
Postgrad means PhD?
Could be master's or PhD, I think. Yeah. Master's or PhD.
Yeah, I think it depends. Because for my own experience, I take master because I'm not from computer science background, but I want to go to this field, so I need to take a master. But I think if you are already from computer science or other very related bachelor program, I think it's not very necessary.
Yeah. Does Visenze do anything with reinforcement learning?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Does Visenze require masters or PhD for their science full-time positions? Yes. Short answer is no. And basically no lah. Yeah. What is the tech stack like in Visenze? This would definitely depend on the team that we're looking at, whether or not your tech stack, I believe you're probably talking about software engineering as well. So we do have, like Vanessa covered earlier, we have back-end, front-end teams, even teams doing DevOps, infrastructure sort of thing. So it really depends. I do know teams who are using Java, Go, Python, Angular. Oh, something just jumped. Yeah. So like I said, it really depends on the team. Does Visenze publish any papers? I believe at the moment we don't publish.
We don't do it proactively.
We don't do it proactively. But then when I mentioned earlier about the ICCV conference, so that was actually a paper that was published, and our paper was awarded like first place. So probably only things like that, but not on a regular basis. Okay. With so many research papers on computer vision published every year, how do you choose the most promising methods to try out in Visenze?
We will choose those that is closely related to the project we are doing.
Okay. So how does Visenze decide when to develop a new internal ML tooling versus using an existing tool produced by other companies?
That's a good question. But it's very hard to answer. But currently, we don't use existing tool produced by other companies.
I think it's also because it really depends on the needs of like internally. I would say that our field is very, very niche. So for us to use an existing tool produced by other companies, probably it might not also fit our requirements as well.
Yeah, it's harder to integrate in your internal systems. If you develop by yourself, you can do everything by your need.
Yeah. Okay. So how does Visenze, I'm just going to go very quickly because we don't have a lot of time. How does Visenze compete with large data science companies with more data, more infrastructure, more
computing power?
Yeah,
I think.
and more money.
I think it depends on the business. So of course, there's a lot of company there have a lot of other resources, but the use case is different.
Does Visenze have product level grant? Yeah, you want to address this one. So like product level, differentiating the different products.
Yeah, I think we have
Yeah.
instant.
How would you rank between Kaggle-based projects and open-ended self-defined data science projects?
I think both is okay. No difference.
Okay. What is the culture like in Visenze? Culture-wise, I think we probably addressed a little bit earlier, so I won't go very in-depth. I usually just tell candidates that we are very collaborative, highly collaborative. People here are very nice, very, very helpful, very passionate people. You can see from Jiang Chen when she was going through the presentation just now as well. Very passionate about her work, okay? Okay, what made Visenze so successful in the past few years? In your opinion, do you think this will continue for the next few years? Yes, I do believe that this will continue for the next few years because wait, I should address the first part first. What made Visenze so successful in the past few years? Definitely the team over here. With great tenacity, I think. And I think a good example would be last year when COVID hit. We all didn't expect it, and retail was highly affected by that. But really, like the team just pulled through with great tenacity, okay? And of course, we stayed together as one team. And in my opinion, do I think this will continue for the next few years? Yes, with the advancement of e-commerce and as well as visual commerce, I do believe that this will continue. Does CAP matters very much to get a job in Visenze? I wouldn't say that this is everything, but I mean, it's a good indicator as well, okay? But at the same time, we do look at your past experience also, and depending on the role that you are considering for also, okay? There are new questions. I think we probably already addressed all of these questions as well. Okay, great. Yeah, I think we managed to address the questions over here. Back to you guys. Joel?
Yeah. Okay. Big thanks to Vivian, Jiang Chun, and Vanessa for sharing more about Visenze. This is the end of the event itself already. So if any of you have found the idea of like working at Visenze very interesting, you can head over their website to apply for like the jobs or internships. And for more future events about statistics and data science, you can subscribe to our NUS Statistics Society social media channels as well as our Telegram channels for any future events and updates. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, guys. Can you all just help to fill in this feedback form so that we can just gather some feedback from you guys? Okay. And thanks for joining us today.